depression is not just sadness.
It's a tangle of symptoms.
It's tiredness and difficulty concentrating. Depression is multiple symptoms that can...
Yo. This right here. Simple Modern. Bruh. You hear that? That's ice. Y'all put ice in this bitch like 7 o'clock last night. Yo, this shit is still solid ice in this motherfucker, yo. That's pretty damn good since 7 o'clock last night. That's over 12 hours this motherfucker been chill. See the ice? You can't see the ice in there. Delicious. How many paintings have I done in the stream? You know what, bruh? That's a good ass question. I honestly haven't kept count. Wow. I've been streaming for about 2 years. Streaming, well, probably a little bit over 2 years. I figure I can do like 15 paintings a year. Like anywhere from, depending on what sizes they are, I do about 15 to 18 paintings a year. So let's say if I average 18 paintings a year and I've been streaming for 2 years, I've done 36 paintings in here. Yeah, it is longer than 2 years, isn't it? It's a little bit more than 2 years. I've done an ass of paintings on stream, bro. I'll say at least, if 18, 36, I'll on a conservative estimate, I'll say about 25 or 30 paintings. And that's on the low end. On the high end, I've probably done about 45 paintings on stream. I should go back all the way to Ustream and start counting back all the way from Ustream, like how many paintings I actually completed and had it on the stream. 4 years? Damn. Is it 4 years? How long ago they took Ustream off? Because I was popping on Ustream for about a year. Damn, man, you making me feel old as fuck, man. Wait a minute. I'm starting to add this shit up now. It's been a while. This motherfucker making me feel old. This shit's been about 4 years. Is it really been 4 years I've been doing this shit? It's 2018. Was I doing this shit in 2014? You probably right, bro. You got me interested in myself. I'm gonna have to go do some research on myself now. That is some weird shit. Like I really can't remember. Man. Yeah. But you've been around for that long, you always know. I just keep on working with some new shit. Yeah, it has been a while for that Ustream shit. I'm just constantly working on new shit. I'm gonna work on this a little bit more. So, still working on the skin tones on this. Her fingers, I want to work on the shadow of her fingers. Well, her chin is casting a light shadow on her fingers right here. So I want to work on her middle finger and her ring finger, and it's hard to really tell, but her neck is a little bit darker than her face and her hands. I haven't added another layer of paint here. So I want to work on her fingers here and work on this shadow that's right below her chin and add a little highlights to her neck right here. And then that'll be all for the skin tones. I might play around with this hand a little bit more, like right around this thumb section here. But after I get finished with these skin tones, I think I'm gonna what I said, I might add another layer of black and just really darken that in and get that black nice and solid, and then start adding details to this wood grain. And then I'll come back and work on her articles of clothing, the cup, the phone, and the last thing I'll do is probably get more detailing in the lights and the walls. This in the cafe behind her. Photographs. I always work from photographs. Memorizing every detail, you would have to have a fucking superhuman brain. And that's Norman Rockwell lived during that period where the camera was becoming more accessible to the everyday person, and he went from actually having models sit in front of him for hours to getting a professional photographer and having his images photographed and him working from photographs because it's just easier. Like I say, you don't have to have a model sit still for hours. You're not losing light, especially if you're outside, or if you're using sunlight, then the sun changes throughout the day and the light source changes. Models fidget, they move, and a photo is just excellent for painting. It's a still shot captured in time. Nothing moves, nothing changes. The light sources, everything is the same. So I don't know. I love working from photos. And so the next piece I'll be doing is this right here. This is one of my high school classmates. Oh, beautiful thing. You can see that painting right there. It's behind the pink painting. So I got that one started. I did a photo shoot a few days ago, so I have some pictures on my camera I need to get off. And there's some more photographers in Atlanta. There's actually a photographer in California that I'm going to be working with and using some of their material in my art. So, oh no, never went to school for this shit, bro. I'm actually a high school dropout. Yeah, I dropped out of school in the 11th grade. That's why when you look at my art, I try to push literature and self-education as much as I can. You know, that's a self-portrait of me right there, and in front of my bookshelf, reading one of my favorite books. Always try to keep some good reading material around. So yeah, never went to school professionally, or never went to university and studied art in an academic setting. It's just a natural gift that I have. I've cultivated over the years. Throughout my experiences in the art world and being a part of galleries, when I was living in Virginia, I became a member of this one gallery, and one of the resident artists taught classes. Very, very, very prolific artist. Goddamn, a master painter. He actually, so in Virginia, there is Mary Washington University, and very prestigious university. And they have an excellent art department. And my mentor actually taught the art professor at Mary Washington University. So, did I have professional training? No. Did I go to university for training? No. I'm self-taught, but I did get mentorship from a professional artist who actually teaches college professors how to paint. So that does add a layer of benefit to my technique and the way I approach my art. But oh yeah, so I just try to push it as hard as I can. That's one of the main questions I get. Like, did you go to school? Did you go to school? Like, no, I didn't go to school. Which means it's I think people are sometimes more impressed by my art because I'm not, professionally trained or trained at a university level. And I think that adds more freedom and creativity to what I want to do. I can imagine if I was trained professionally, I would look at art different. I would look at art through a trained eye, and I would see it differently. I don't know exactly how different I would view or perceive art, but I'm just happy I didn't get indoctrinated by Western culture at a university to tell me that this is art and this is not art and this is art. And it's like, and honestly, even in high school, I really didn't like art. I loved art, but I didn't like art. It's like, I love to paint and draw and color and pastel and whatever. I do all that shit. But when it comes to written assignments, Van Gogh and Gauguin and this period and that period and postmodern and impressionism and pointillism and fuck all that shit, man. I can't pass no written test on art, man. That shit is so fucking boring. I don't know what year Monet died. I don't give a fuck what year Monet died. I can't name one of Monet's paintings at all. The title of his paintings, I don't know that shit. So they gave me a C because I couldn't answer the questions. But I'm the best fucking visual artist in class. So it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. My art teacher used to hate that shit. She's like, Travis, I had to fail you on this test. I can't believe you didn't study. Why? Why don't you study for this? Because it's boring as fuck, bro. It's boring. Just let me paint some shit. It's not all about painting. Bitch, yes it is. It's called art. I don't want to be an art historian. I just want to be an artist. There's a difference. But now I understand that having an intellectual foundation of art, the great periods of art, and some of the most revered and recognized artists is always a good thing in your cachet to have when you're trying to be creative, when you're trying to come up with new ways to express yourself or new ways to conceptualize an idea. You should always revert back to the masters and see what has come before and see the styles and techniques that they use in their craft to convey a certain message. And you know what I'm saying, if you don't understand history, you don't have a full understanding of the present. And if you're not fully aware of the present, you cannot project your future. And it's the same thing in all facets of life. You have to know where you come from in order to know where you're going. If you want your art to progress, you have to know where art started from, you know what I'm saying, and how it progressed up to this part, and what we denote as, fine art and what's not fine art, and the subcategories of what art is. And so, yeah, I try to study a little bit more on art, but it's still fucking boring as shit. Until I heard that grinding. I'm grinding. You know what I keep in the line, and niggas better stay in line when they see a nigga like me grinding. Grinding. You know what I keep in the line, and niggas better stay in line when they see a nigga like me grinding. Grinding. Cause I don't smoke blunts. I just do the bong. Yeah. And there's no cheap stunts. Yeah. Just a bitch in a thong. Yeah. Woo. Cause I don't smoke blunts. Ooh. I just do the bong. Yeah, and it's no cheap stunts. Ooh, ooh, just a bitch in a thong. Now I bite to get it on when I put this thumb on the lighter and strike it. I get a flame, you like it, don't deny it. I put it to the bubbler, then I pull it. And that is the truest. Ooh, what's the flavor of the day? Lamb's bread, whatever that is. Motherfuckers got all kind of names for this shit. Cookie dough, Cincy Critical Star, Blueberry Headband, White Widow, Black Widow. Motherfucker said, I just want some pot, man. I just want to smoke some shit. Sprinkle a little greenery. Do that shit like Salt Bae. Cause I really love to paint. And I love to wake and bake. Ooh, cause I really love to paint. And I love to wake and bake. Lou, you want some? I know you don't smoke, Lou. It's hot. Shit almost made me cough. Cough. Yo, they bringing this shit. There's all kind of shit they bringing back, man. They got the lamb's breath and the dude called some shit called sheep wool. I said sheep wool. He showed me that shit. That shit was fuzzy as fuck. I was like, oh, kind of does look like wool. And my man, the other time he had some strawberry cough. He got all kind of coughs. Strawberry cough, blueberry cough, pineapple cough. And when you cough, you kind of taste the little flavors in that shit. You're like, man, which one you want? I'm like, which one you smoking? I'm smoking this. Well, give me the shit you smoking that motherfucker. Ask me which one I want. I want the shit you like to smoke. God damn. Alright, one more. And then I gotta, because that's how I get. And then if I do that, I won't be able to. Ooh. I love these beats. It's just like a couple hits off the bong. It's just like taking a whole fucking blunt to the head. Oh yeah, I remember you said that yesterday, Luke. Let me look at that shit right now. Everybody, stop the music. Stop the fucking music. Lewis said he drew a motherfucking hot rod. I'm about to go like this shit 1,000 times. Other people liking my shit. Hey, I got a new follower. Oh. Y'all know how many followers I got on Instagram? A lot. Which is tripping me out, man, because I got an ass of fucking Instagram followers and I don't even have 1,000 YouTube subscribers yet. It doesn't balance out. Man, you ain't even post no picture of that shit yet, boy. You better hurry up and get on the ball and at least post a work in progress. Nah. I don't know, man. This shit kind of brown. But this I only got one little butt of this shit left. It's kind of brown, but it smells like, it has kind of like a cinnamon smell to it almost. Like not really cinnamon, but kind of like nutmegish. It's like a real earthy. It's not citrusy at all. It's not citrusy. It's like a real earthy, like more natural, kind of like a nutmeg. But yeah, it's not even like that loud green. It's kind of like orangish. It's like orangish brown. That shit orange and brown, yo. But it tastes, that shit got a good flavor to it, man. Tastes like a goddamn mocha coca chocolate latte or some shit, man. I had one more little bud of this shit. This some different shit. This right here ain't even had no name to it. That's why I was trying to say this shit. And this right here, that shit right here tastes like motherfucking limes. I swear. That shit tastes just like a goddamn lime. That shit so damn citrusy and zesty. It's delicious. It's delicious, man. And that's why I hit that shit in the bomb, motherfucker. That's why I say I don't smoke blunts. I don't hit the bomb. My weed tastes too flavorful to wrap it in tobacco. You want to wrap that shit in tobacco, then you only just tasted tobacco. What's the fucking point? You should just smoke a cigarette. Smoke your weed and smoke a cigarette. Don't smoke your weed and cigarettes at the same time and wrap your weed in it. You can't taste, you don't get the full sensation, the flavors, man. Keep that bong water clean and let that shit, ooh, damn. Berries. Yeah. It's like berries. Yeah, I like that. You do this, it's like Dutch. That's all I taste. Dutch. Cigar. What the fuck? Yo, my homie still smoke blunts. It's like, you want this? And I swear to God, I'm like, nah. Hit the blunt, man. Yeah. God damn, man, huh? He over there. Nah, I'm good. I'm good, bro. I ain't want no more of that shit. Jesus Christ, I'm breathing hard already. Oh, heavy ass tobacco leaf. That shit don't fuck up your breath? Damn. If I do want to twist, organic hemp. If I twist, and I don't twist that often anymore. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no need to. I'm sitting right here because I'm not going to smoke the whole thing. I'm going to smoke and then put it out. Smoke and put it out. Smoke and then you get that old smoky flavor in it, which changes it too. The bong is fresh every hit. It's fresh every time. Sprinkle. They don't putting that shit out and getting that smoke to build up in there. Like, nah. It's the perfect thing. It's just so nice. You know? I'd rather smoke out of glass, man. Just sit that shit like. Everybody, order. Order in court. Order in court. Welcome to the our official IRS meeting. Session number 1 of the internal reefer smokers. Council and committee ready to adjourn. That raw is that good shit. I don't put it out until it's gone. Put it out. Put what out? I don't put it out till it's gone. So I put it out. Shit. My tolerance ain't that high. I can't do it. Smoke the whole thing? I go to sleep. I'm about to go to sleep now. I gotta turn some music on as it is to keep my eyes open. Jesus. Oh man. I'm gonna put it out till it's gone. Harry post that picture, Lou. I drew a hot rod. I drew a hot rod. I drew a hot rod. I go to look at it. I can't even see the damn thing. Post it. Let me be able to see it and then tell me. Oh damn. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Motherfucker funny as hell. Is the Dogon tribe ancestors from space. Here we go with that fucking alien shit all the time. Who think that the human race came from aliens? That's what's up. Well, shit. Thanks for reaching out and actually communicating, bro. Milkman. I do the same thing too, man. I like watching streams. I watch streams all the time, whether it's fucking interactive streams like this or I watch a lot of gamers because I used to buy every game, but now it's like I buy games and get so disappointed when they don't live up to the hype that I just like when new games come out, I'll just watch somebody else stream it. I don't play Fortnite, but for some reason, bro, I'll watch like 20 or 30 minutes of whoever the top viewer is. I mean, the top streamer on the PlayStation Zone. I click on that shit and I watch these motherfuckers go in. Pow, pow. Build a fucking tower. Put the little trampoline on that shit. Jump off that bitch. Use the little hang gliders. Yo, motherfuckers be beasting in that shit, yo. And I'll watch that shit, but I don't play that shit. You know what I'm saying? That fucking Destiny 2, I watch people play that shit sometimes. And a couple other games, man. I even watch like Call of Duty matches. I watch the motherfucking the Dragon Ball Z fighting game. I watch motherfuckers play a tournament of that shit. But I don't be saying shit, so you know what I'm saying? I just be in there watching and don't even say it and don't even say shit. One streamer I watched, this motherfucker always played a Battlefield game because I'm a big Battlefield player too. But he beats, yo. He like I think his rank like number 4 or 5 in the US on the Battlefield ranks. But as long as I've been watching his ass, I ain't never really say nothing to him. I don't know, I just watch that shit. Oh, I'm the only motherfucker who get the curse up in this bitch, goddammit. I make it hard on the trolls. Y'all gonna have to figure out weird ass ways to combine those letters to make it say fuck or nigga or whatever. Y'all gotta space it out and do other shit because it ain't gonna be easy to come in here and curse me out on some trolling shit. Sorry, no dick, ass, fuck, pussy, bitch, nigga, none of that shit. Nope. Only I can say it. Only I can say it. Oh yeah. I had to edit that shit a while ago. It gets so annoying. And then plus it's like, I don't know, what really got it one time was I was painting. Oh, I think it was a commission too of this beautiful dark skinned sister. Some dude was in here, fuck that black nigger bitch. What the fuck you painting all these nigga bitches for? I'm like, yo, you'll never come in my stream and disrespect, you know, cause the customer who was getting the piece painted, she was in the stream watching me paint. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I mean, why do you even do that? You see a beautiful painting and you want to call it a black nigger bitch? Like, nah. You won't be able to say that shit in my stream ever again. Nobody. You gotta find a different way. I'm gonna make you work to say shit like that. You want to say shit like that? Okay, figure it out then. Figure a way to do it. And then if you figure a way, I'm gonna try to block all them shits too. Block all that shit. Now, this way we can have a more intellectual, sustainable conversation. You know, because I can go both ways. Now, some motherfuckers can't go both ways. Y'all stuck in one lane. I'm not staying in that lane with you, all in the stream, trying to come down to your level and simplify myself so you can understand it. Nah. Not that easy. Everybody says that shit too. It's like, I get that shit like 2 or 3 times a stream. Like, yo, it wouldn't let my message go through. Well, stop trying to say dick and ass. Say something else. Say butt. Say penis. I might have to block penis. You penis head. Like, I don't know. Like, nah. Oh, my comment wouldn't go through. I know. Don't say fuck. Oh, that was fucked up. Nah, just say that was messed up. Or that situation shouldn't have occurred. I was trying to say you're cool as fuck. It's all good. It's all good. Just say, man, you a hella cool dude. You know what I'm saying? And then plus, man, there's be a lot of kids in here too, man. Honestly, I get most of my views through PlayStation. Because this is the platform I'm streaming on. I know it's YouTube Live, but it's on the PlayStation. And so most of my views do come through PlayStation. So about 85% of my viewers are males. And about fucking 50% of that are under 20. So these motherfuckers are 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. Not trying to corrupt too much. They certain ways, you know what I'm saying? And then I even had somebody try to step to me about doing something else, but I would have to really censor myself, like completely, like some NBC shit. No cursing, no, and it's like, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. Peckerhead, Peter Puffer, Turd Burglar, Fudge Packer, Bunghole Spelunker. You gotta get creative, man. Come on, this is art and education. You want to do some shit, you gotta be creative with these shits, man. Dude, because I can say, you know what I'm saying, all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Rusty Brown's ring donuts. It's like, oh damn. You can still say you got some fellatio and gave a hooker a pearl necklace. That's legit. It's a bit wordy. But that bitch will slide right in there. Shoo. You know what I'm saying? I might have to take the word skeet out of that shit. That's edgy. That's edgy. This motherfucker here sanitizing his stream. Kind of. Damn, they wouldn't even let you say F-U-K? Damn, that's tight. They restricted, boy. That motherfucker got to say Fook. Not even F-U-K? Woo! Shaqua! Chop that bitch out, yo. Hershey Highway. Chili ring. Oh, damn. Damn, that's crazy. You know, you can still ask a guy if he has a Prince Albert. Or you can ask, no female in particular has she ever given a rusty trombone. Have you ever participated in a double Dutch rudder? Whoa. Got to be creative. That's all it takes. Nothing. Whoa. They got some shit on this right here. Ooh, boy. I'm about to listen to this. You about to get some education.
Lake Seram is situated in China's far west, on the border with Central Asia. For centuries, this mountain lake was a strategic transit point along the legendary Silk Road that ran between Europe and the Chinese Empire. For the nomads living around the lake, the opening of the new Silk Road is, in some ways, history repeating itself. Trucks have replaced the caravans of the past on the newly built highway. The ambitious project was launched by Chinese President Xi Jinping during a visit to Kazakhstan in 2013.
为了使欧亚各国经济联系更加紧密，相互合作更加深入，发展空间更加广阔，我们可以用创新的合作模式，共同建设丝绸之路经济带。这是一项造福沿途各国人民的大事业。
For the nomads living around the lake, the opening of the new 2013.
All right, yo, 2013. There's some new shit. That's relatively some new shit. You know what I'm saying? They've been talking about this shit for a couple years. I never heard nobody put this like 42 minutes of information about it. Only thing I ever hear is like little sound bites, like 3-4 minutes. Motherfuckers talking about this shit, but let's see what this shit got to say.
为了使欧亚各国经济联系更加紧密，
We can use innovative models of collaboration to build the Silk Road economic belt together.
相互合作更加深入，发展空间
so that we forge closer economic ties between Europe and Asia and deepen our mutual collaboration.
更加广阔，我们可以用创新的合作模式，共同建设丝绸之路
to experience even greater development.
经济带。这是一项造福
The great project benefits everyone along this road.
沿途各国人民的大事业。
So, yeah, China about to rebuild the motherfucking Silk Road, son.
The new Silk Road planned by Xi Jinping runs for 10,000 kilometers on road and on rail. It crosses western China, Kazakhstan, Russia, and will run all the way to Europe. It's a huge construction site.
Let me answer.
Silk Road
Let me answer.
But what are China's true intentions and will run all Silk Road?
更加广阔。
Yo, how long is this
我们可以
motherfucker,
用
yo?
创新的合作模式，共同建设丝绸之路经济带。这是一项造福
And how much this bitch gonna cost?
各国人民的大事业。
The new Silk Road planned by Xi Jinping runs for 10,000 kilometers
Woo!
on road and on rail.
10,000 kilometers.
It crosses western China, Kazakhstan, Russia, and will run all the way to Europe. It's a huge construction site. But what are China's true intentions behind this mega project?
That's the thing. Why y'all putting so much money into this shit, China? What the fuck you trying to really do, China? China about to rebuild the fucking Silk Road from China to fucking Europe. They buying up all the motherfucking Africa. They got deals with Russia with the yuan to start trading oil in something different other than a petrodollar. China's been saying this for over a decade. This is the Asian century. This is the Asian century. Shit is changing. The Europeans have been controlling shit for a couple hundred years. You know what I'm saying? And China's like, this is our shit right here. This next 100 years is ours. It's not like they're planning for, this decade or 2020 or no. For the next 100 years, we are going to continue to grow our infrastructure, our production, our motherfucking army and their military, everything. And their influence around their global influence is expanding, and that's why they've been buying up all this fucking American debt for decades. For decades. They own us. And this may be like, that's the only scenario I can see with some World War III type shit is like the American coalition going against like China, Russia. But Russia got some of the Middle East in their pocket and shit with Assad. It's like, I don't know, this should be weird as fuck. But we just gonna have to bow down as the world's economic power. That's it. Like, there is no way around it. There is no way around this shit. America has fucked up their dollar. We done fucked up this country is fucked up. I mean, technically, you can't give another country power, man. Countries build their own power. Who gave America power? Who gives any country power? That's the thing. Like, that's how most people feel like America and American democracy should dictate everything. Like, and that's what fucks shit up so bad. Like, we are the world's police. We have military infrastructures all over the world, and China just built one of their first permanent military infrastructures outside of China. And the U.S. is all like, oh, why are you doing that, China? Why are you doing that? Like, motherfucker, y'all got like 200 and something bases all around the world. China got one. And it's like, oh shit, we're nervous. They're up, like you say, they're up to no good. It's like, nah, these motherfuckers is just, they know it's their time. It's like they got the control, they got the power. And it's like they about to start flexing on shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what anyone would do. You know what I'm saying? When there's gonna be a major power shift. It's like, who's gonna be the dominant economic power? You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna have more of these big development contracts, building these smart cities, developing this new technology. Over here in America, we're bickering about, oh, should we, continue to advance our AI programs and this and that and space programs. And man, other countries ain't worrying about us no more, yo. Motherfucking, especially China. Yo, 3/5 of the world is fucking Chinese. 3/5 of the world is Chinese. They said it's their fucking century, yo. It's their fucking time to be on top. Then you know who's the next largest population behind the Chinese is Indians, and next behind Indians is Africans. But the African population is starting to boom again. Like, there's been so many tactics used to sterilize and diminish the population, the population on the continent of Africa. Like, we're not even second anymore. It's fucking India. There's more Indians than Africans, even though the African continent is bigger. But the population on the African continent, that shit is on the upswing again. Just like the Spanish and Latino population in America, yo. I think they said in the last 10 years, there's been a 15% increase in Latino population in America. 15% in 10 years. That's a fucking lot, bro. That's a lot. I'm like, yo, these Ricans out here fucking like crazy, son. Like, holy shit. Pop, 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 pop. Popping them babies out. Oh, I trust me. I completely understand that, bro. And that's why I don't message people when I watch streams. Because I'm so long-winded in trying to explain and get to the point that it's not even worth it. Trust me, I feel you. I absolutely feel what you're saying.
In my opinion, this project will change the development of the economy and society, but it'll definitely have long-term geopolitical implications too.
Long-term geopolitical, yo, they already, yo.
The new Silk Road crosses Central Asia, the Russian sphere of influence. Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping
and that's what I was saying this yesterday. Something else we was talking about, different continents, and really there is no Europe. When you look at the map, Asia is Asia. Asia is one giant ass fucking continent. Asia, Russia and Europe is in Asia. But when you call off the continents, you say Europe, like Europe is a continent until upon itself, but it's not. It's a part of Asia. Like Russians are Asian. That's weird as fuck. You're Russian, but you're Asian, bro. you're from the Asian continent, just like Arabs in Africa. Yeah, you're Arab, but you're fucking African. You're from Africa. I don't give a fuck if you're from Morocco. That shit is in Africa.
They affirm their geostrategic road
economy and society, but it'll definitely have long-term geopolitical implications too.
The new Silk Road crosses Central Asia, the Russian sphere of influence. Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping regularly affirm their geostrategic alliance, but this new Chinese project could have a massive impact on the relationship between the two countries. And in the long term, it could do the same to the power balance in the whole of Eurasia.
In the past, the Silk Road was called the axis of the world. If you controlled that road, you controlled the world.
China has chosen the city of Chongqing as the starting point for its new Silk Road. With a population of around 35 million, almost as many as Beijing and Shanghai combined, Chongqing is China's largest urban area. Few people in the West have actually heard of Chongqing, but this megacity on the Yangtze River is a symbol of the economic boom the country has been experiencing for the past 30 years. While growth is tapering off in the major industrial centers of Guangzhou and Shenzhen, Chongqing is proving every day anew that it's one of the future engines of China's economic development. Chongqing's growth has long been based on heavy industry with cheap labor from the countryside. But in recent years, the megacity has put all its energy behind the giants of the electronics industry. Thanks to this transformation, Chongqing can now boast a growth rate in double figures.
Our laptops are largely produced in Chongqing. The Guangda company has 3 factories in Chongqing with around 15,000 employees. This factory has 3,200 employees. We mainly produce Acer laptops.
Acer
The laptops you buy in France and Germany are all produced here.
Acer. Yeah, made in China. No, we don't make nothing. We don't make nothing in America no more, yo.
Their journey from Chongqing to Europe, the computers have to travel 2,000.
I paid motherfucking like $750 for that laptop or something like that. No. My girl got that one for me for a present. That was a birthday present. Actually, I don't know how much she paid for that shit. That was my old laptop. But I got my girl an Acer before she got me this one. She got a bigger one. I think this is a 14. I got her like the 16 or 18-inch screen. And that shit was like $1,100 or some shit like that. But that shit made in China.
Kilometers overland to reach the coast. Then they'll be at sea for at least a month on the South China Sea, the Strait of Malacca, and the Suez Canal. But in practice, 2 months often go by between the time a computer emerges from the factory in China and is sold in Europe. That gave rise to the idea of reviving the overland route of the Silk Road that once ran through Western China, Central Asia, and Russia. The shortening of the transport period isn't the only goal of this new Silk Road. Tensions are growing in the South China Sea between Beijing and its neighbors, Taiwan, Japan, and the Philippines, and even with the unpredictable United States of Donald Trump. An alternative route is becoming vital for China.
The United States of Donald Trump.
President Xi Jinping has emphasized.
That was kind of harsh. Like, motherfuckers just play the shit out of America, yo. Like, I swear they do. Damn, they just stuck it right to us like that, yo. The United States of Donald Trump. Another route is becoming essential.
Road. Tensions are growing in the South China Sea between Beijing and its neighbors, Taiwan, Japan, and the Philippines, and even with the unpredictable United States of Donald Trump. An alternative route is becoming vital for China.
President Xi Jinping has emphasized the great significance of Chongqing for global and Asian Pacific logistics. Chongqing is to become a hub for inland logistics that will be open to the outside too.
Chongqing has a clear directive to turn away from the sea and look west. That's also symbolized by Kilometer Zero, which marks the starting point of the new Silk Road. In order to supply this new route to the west with goods, the city has built logistics facilities to replace the container ports on the coast.
At this central freight terminal, we send around 1,000 containers every day to other Chinese provinces and to other countries. We're responsible for the safety of these operations. Every week, 3 or 4 trains leave for Duisburg in Germany, carrying around 41 containers.
The electronic goods loaded onto the trains here arrive in Germany after just 12 days instead of traveling 8 weeks by sea. However, transporting goods by rail costs twice as much. 250 trains like this one are necessary to carry the same volume as a single container ship. At the moment, this train to Germany has more of a symbolic significance. But it's a symbol that's important to a China that's looking west, not least to put a convincing case for Xi Jinping's project to both the domestic audience and China's economic partners. With European El Dorado as its endpoint, the new Silk Road that travels through China for more than 2,500 kilometers will also help develop the country's infrastructure, or so it's hoped. This new transport route that combines road and rail will connect and boost regions in western China beyond Lanzhou. A wild west of huge expansion, and one that was left behind by the economic reforms of the past 20 years. The city of Lanzhou is the gateway to China's wide-open west. Here, the new Silk Road is taking on the characteristics of a Marshall Plan. The new oversized neighborhoods, empty as yet, suggest affluence. Between the life-sized replicas of the Sphinx and the Parthenon, the government's propaganda is regurgitated by all.
The new Silk Road will fuel the economy, culture and gastronomy. The city of Lanzhou will become more attractive, as will the province of Gansu.
The new Silk Road is a collective and therefore political project that's very promising. In light of the stagnating economic growth, official figures say it's 7%, but in reality it's 4%. The Chinese government needs a new impulse to prove that it's in control of this major project.
The world's second largest economy, China, is in reality a colossus with feet of clay and threatened by uncontrolled social developments. Only an economic success story benefiting the entire country can keep it together. But this growth is based on the export of products that are made in China, and these seriously declined since the global economic squeeze. China has to change its economic model, and that means it has to develop its domestic market. It has to invest in the infrastructure needed to promote the exchange of goods. In just 10 years, China has built 80,000 kilometers of highway. The rural road network in the east is impressive, but to open up the market to the west, there is just one possible route, between the foothills of the Tibetan Plateau and the Gobi Desert. That's exactly where the new Silk Road runs. It's a unique transport link and indispensable when it comes to connecting the province of Xinjiang, which means new border, to the rest of the country. In the arid, semi-desert expanses of western China, Beijing and the central government were always very far away. But today, the new Silk Road is creating change. It's altering the concept of time, and ultimately, it'll change the lives of the people here.
They come from all over the country, from Xinjiang, Zhejiang, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Beijing, and even from the northeast. We're in a favorable transport location, which is good for business in every regard.
Ten years ago, we were still in our home village, but we moved to the city to make money when the economic reforms came.
China is undergoing a radical shift, particularly in the west of the country and in Xinjiang. All these cities being built in the desert are cities with skyscrapers. There's a lot of activity everywhere with lights and even music and karaoke bars. It's a message to the Chinese population. It's to attract people to these remote areas.
To make it possible for people to move to the remote province of Xinjiang or to trade there, Beijing has extended its high-speed train along the entire new highway. The travel time for the 2,000 kilometers between Lanzhou and Urumqi is now just 10 hours, down from 40.
Damn, they cut the time down from 40 hours to 10 hours?
China now possesses the largest high-speed rail network in the world with a length of 20,000 kilometers. $300 billion was invested in 10 years. That corresponds to almost the entire annual budget of a country like France. The route of the new Silk Road is among the newest. It's been in operation since 2014. The high-speed route to Xinjiang swallowed a lot of money, and it'll never be cost-effective. But for Beijing, the benefit lies elsewhere. Firstly, it's political, because this route really affirms the desire to connect Xinjiang more closely to the rest of the country. And it also sends a message to neighboring states, because China sees itself as the builder of an international high-speed network to run from Russia to Central Asia and Iran. The route currently ends at the cutting-edge railway station in Urumqi, the provincial capital. The station has very strict security measures in place. That's because Xinjiang is not a conventional Chinese province. There are frequent tensions between the Uyghurs, the local Muslim minority, and the Han Chinese, who make up the vast majority of the population in the rest of the country. Attacks, violent riots, and economic and religious imbalances. The region combines all the ingredients for a highly explosive cocktail. Police roadblocks and military checkpoints secure the new Silk Road here with strict controls. Beijing believes the two cornerstones of peace in Xinjiang are domestic security and massive growth. Without peace, this province cannot become a springboard for Chinese interests in Central Asia. With the support of the government, the plan is for Urumqi to become a regional center. Every 2 years, a large trade fair is held to promote the new Silk Road. The stands are all tailored to attracting visitors from neighboring countries, and all dutifully recite the official text to sell the Chinese dream.
This model shows what our economic zone will look like when the project is complete. This is how it will be done. It's our goal to get businesses from the 5 countries of Central Asia that surround us to come here. At the start of the year, we presented our project in Russia and Kazakhstan. Many companies signaled their interest in our free trade zone.
Modern Xinjiang is having positive effects on the development along the new Silk Road. Beijing wants to exploit this to prove its competence and experience in building up infrastructure, economic zones, and the important energy sector. To do that, big Chinese companies are needed, such as Goldwind, the #1 when it comes to wind energy. Goldwind is run by Wu Gang.
We're in the Dabancheng wind farm in Xinjiang. It's one of the best wind farms in the world. It's 20 to 30 kilometers wide and 80 kilometers long. The special thing about this place is its constant wind speed. It's ideal for a wind farm.
The success of Goldwind is a classic example of the Chinese economic miracle. Wu is a pioneer who built his first wind turbines 30 years ago. He bought a German company, which resulted in a cleverly negotiated transfer of technology. Today, Goldwind is the biggest maker of wind turbines in the world. At a time when the energy market is in a state of completely unprecedented transition, his business is perfectly placed.
There are many sources of renewable energies along the entire New Silk Road. In Kazakhstan or Pakistan or even Turkey, there's wind and solar energy everywhere.
Oh, shit.
Developing wind energy further costs a lot of money. The Chinese plan on a completely different scale. We've seen that with their solar panels. Everything's big. They have a real strategic vision. We're lacking that in Europe.
One thing's clear. Long-term strategies are easier to implement if you're an authoritarian, stable government. The New Silk Road follows in the long tradition of a planned economy pursued by China's Communist Party.
At first glance, the politics behind the New Silk Road have the mark of Xi Jinping. It strengthens his power and his reputation. But in the long term, it stands for a change in China. Debates about this have been going on in economic circles since 2011. This project will have consequences far into the future. Implementing it will take decades. This doesn't just affect Xi Jinping, it affects his successors too.
And it's going to be a major role for China from here on out. Maintenance of the goddamn Silk Road.
Urumqi to the Kazakh border. The border town of Khorgos is situated at the end of the highway. Khorgos has an old customs station and riders who aren't fazed by anything. But China wants to give its new image a visual representation in the form of a huge arch under which the New Silk Road will soon run. Beyond this triumphal arch is Kazakhstan. That's where the international dimension of the Chinese project begins. Here, the New Silk Road is still a construction site. But just 3 years after Xi Jinping's proclamation, the continuation of the Chinese road is easy to imagine. Hicham Belmachi is one of the main players in this ongoing project. He's a Frenchman of Moroccan origin and an employee of DP World, a group of companies based in Dubai and one of the world's leading logistics organizations.
China is behind me. Almaty in Kazakhstan is in front of me. To the left of me is Kyrgyzstan, and beyond it, Uzbekistan. I have Russia to my right. Khorgos is at the center, between all of these countries. This is where everything is happening.
Hicham Belmachi works for the Kazakh government, which is hoping to get a lot out of the New Silk Road. It's a road that could turn this middle of nowhere into an outpost of globalization.
If there's any place that symbolizes the meeting of East and West, it's this one. The Chinese tracks end behind me. The Kazakh tracks start to my left. From here you can get to Beijing, Shanghai, Yiyangyungang and Ningbo. And from here you can get to Almaty, Astana, Russia and Europe.
In Khodgos, the Chinese containers are loaded onto Kazakh freight trains, which run on a narrower gauge, the Russian gauge, a leftover of the Soviet era. From here, the goods can reach anywhere in Central Asia, home to a number of countries the size of Europe, with a population of just 70 million. Kazakhstan is the biggest among them.
We mustn't forget that the border between the former Soviet Union and China ran along here. For a very long time, there was almost no contact between the two countries. The border was closed. Thanks to the new infrastructure, a lot of passengers and goods will come through here. Khodgos is the starting point for a revival of the Silk Road.
The new Silk Road's still under construction in Kazakhstan. Once complete, it'll cross the entire country over a distance of 2,400 kilometers. The construction work is largely being paid for with loans issued by the World Bank, but also by China itself, via its new Silk Road Fund. That's a state fund running to more than $40 billion. This new strategy has allowed China to enter the exclusive club of major creditor nations. Until the new Silk Road opens and China arrives, the Kazakh steppes still live in the old world. A world that dates back to Soviet times. A world that has been governed by President Nazarbayev with an iron fist for the past 25 years. He recently called the new Silk Road the project of a century. 5 years, the old world. A world that dates back to Soviet times. A world that has been governed by President Nazarbayev with an iron fist for the past 25 years. He recently called the new Silk Road the project of a century. Nothing has changed here since the fall of the Soviet Union, especially not the old rural road connecting Khodgos with the rest of the country.
You're going to stand around here all day?
Of course not. Let's go.
I have goods from China. I'm heading to Almaty. I've been traveling since yesterday. Now I have a flat tire. I normally have to complete this stretch in a day. The Chinese side is much better. The road is very good. It's well maintained. There are no potholes. I hope it'll improve here too.
News of the imminent opening of the highway is spreading slowly in the steppe. But for some, the new Silk Road is likely to be bad news.
Most lorries that stop here have come through Russia or Europe. We clean them before they head into China. We're doing a good thing for people. There are not many car washes here. When the highway is open, the old country road will probably be closed. There won't be a single vehicle coming through here then. I think I'll be here another 2 or 3 years. After that, no cars will come through here. It'll be dead quiet.
All this is seen with mixed feelings in the villages through which the old road runs. They're hoping for a better future and are dubious about what will happen next.
Our president, Nazarbayev, signed this contract with China. There's already a functioning train, a freight train that goes to Almaty. It transports raw materials, cars, and all kinds of things to many other countries. All that's already possible.
The inhabitants of the small towns near the Chinese border are generally happy with what's happening right now. They're not stupid. They think of the business side of things and the immediate advantages. But are they really thinking of the future? They're going about their business, but they're not pursuing a long-term strategy.
Behind the new Silk Road that leads to Kazakhstan's economic capital, Almaty, behind the trains that run through the steppes, China is pursuing a strategy. The opening of a new export route to absorb any excess industrial production. But the main goal is to intensify China's economic and political influence all across Central Asia, a region that historically has looked towards Russia.
The generous roads, the railway lines, all the new transport options are an advantage to those located on this line in Kazakhstan and elsewhere in Central Asia. Nevertheless, it's largely a Chinese project that's aiming to solve China's problems. China's constantly trying to find new space for its population. Of course, Russia has a lot of empty land, but Russia is still strong. Central Asia is weaker. It's the weakest link in the chain.
As so often, China's population figures are a cause for concern. The fear of the yellow peril is always there below the surface. A region with such a low population density like Kazakhstan is always very interesting for China, not least since it's very rich in oil. Agricultural land and oil are two resources that are absolutely vital for China's growth. The new Silk Road, which goes right across Kazakhstan in a northwesterly direction, runs right past the big oil fields, a zone of the greatest strategic significance to Russia. But these days, China is gaining in power thanks to its state-run oil company, CNPC. Its pipeline now transports 20 million tons of Kazakh oil to the Chinese province of Xinjiang every year.
Within Central Asia, the West is the most important region. Access to the West has to be secured, because that's where the huge energy sources lie. China wants to go beyond the mere exploitation of resources. That's why it's offered an economic and political partnership to Kazakhstan, with the concept of the new Silk Road.
So the new Silk Road is also an oil road for China. In return, Beijing is building the infrastructure necessary for Kazakhstan's development.
China building up Kazakhstan? Yo, this is the Asian century. Yo, these motherfuckers is not playing.
But in the
you ain't got the
near the oil fields of the
they told the motherfuckers, oh, we want the Silk Road to run through your country. Well, we ain't got the money to build it. Oh, well, we'll loan you the money. Yo, China is killing it right now, yo. Oh shit.
Oil company, the promise of affluence made by President Nazarbayev has already been moved back to 2050.
Oh shit.
Clearly, not much of the money for the new Silk Road gets as far as the small towns in the steppes.
There's money here, but nobody will give us work. The oil goes there. It's not easy for us in the village. They're not doing anything for us. You can see the state of the road over there. The Chinese don't employ anyone from here. They employ other people. How can we be satisfied with that?
In Aktubay, the regional capital, the headquarters of the Chinese oil company occupy the most impressive building in town. The style of the building marks a break with the typical restraint displayed by Chinese investors.
When the CNPC came,
I have to go if you don't want to go. We could just watch a movie on HBO.
Oh, no.
here, they brought in workers from China. They should have had quotas to follow, but because of corruption and wangling, more and more Chinese workers came here. There are fewer and fewer Kazakh workers in the oil sector. They have the same problem in Russia. There are jokes on television already that you find more Chinese than Russians in Russia's Far East. I think if they come here, they'll stay and settle.
Kazakhstan is responding very negatively, but so do several other countries in Central Asia. On the one hand, these countries want investors. On the other, they have their own economic interests. They don't want foreigners to own greater shares in their companies than they do. We have to create a win-win situation that countries invest in, and that allows the population to participate financially too.
In 2016, a law on the sale of agricultural land triggered anti-Chinese demonstrations, a first in a country in which every kind of protest gathering is forbidden. Following the demonstrations, Marat Teleyuov was arrested because he filmed the event and disseminated the footage.
All our resources can be sold. Our people know this, but turn a blind eye. Kazakhs are patient. They say, never mind, let's wait. There's no war. At least we have food. This attitude will be our ruin. We understand that everything is being sold, but we also see that this money is going into the pockets of a few, the people at the top. Our limit is reached when they take our land. The Kazakh people will never permit their land to be sold.
The Chinese expansionism that banks on win-win conditions is threatening to fail as a result of domestic corruption, something that undermines a country like Kazakhstan. In the parks of Aktubay, the only sign of public investment in the town, many seem to have accepted that they're just pawns in a great game.
You can't say the Chinese are conquering our country because we live in peace. They've been getting oil from us since the late 90s. We have enough oil. Let them help themselves. Where's the problem? It's not just the Chinese who are here. We have French, American, British, German, and Italian people here too. The whole world.
What you see as expansion depends on the context. If you're referring to the globalization of investment and economic exchange, then globalization is undoubtedly acceptable. But if you take it to mean domination or hegemony, then it isn't. That doesn't fit China's culture.
In 2014, Kazakhstan became a member of the Eurasian Economic Union, the free trade zone desired by Moscow. On the other hand, the Chinese have invested twice as much in Kazakhstan since that date. Aktubay has become a new outpost for this Chinese presence, just 100 kilometers from Russia and the border station of Yesan. At the moment, Russia's still thrilled by the Chinese project of the New Silk Road because it's in line with its own Eurasian ambitions. Russia's advertising spots also promise affluence and cutting-edge infrastructure. But the reality reveals that Moscow simply isn't capable of keeping up with this rhythm. As soon as the lorries from China or Central Asia reach Russia, they follow a zigzag course in order to avoid the huge post-Soviet potholes.
With its rapid advances in Central Asia, China is demonstrating its strength to Russia. That lessens the Russian influence in the region. The Chinese have used the opening up to capitalism and growth to build firm foundations with their infrastructure. There's nothing like it in Russia. That won't change anytime soon, because there's no money left. And even if there were money, it wouldn't be invested in infrastructure.
On the map, the New Silk Road leads to the Russian town of Orenburg. In the days of the Tsars, it was the gateway to Asia. At the entrance to the town, lorries and trains crossed the Ural, the river that marks the geographical border between the Asian and European continents.
Historically speaking, the Ural has always formed a natural border. In the past, caravans coming from Asia always paused here. The river was a barrier.
Today, the Chinese efforts once again seem to come to a halt at this symbolic border. From here, the project of the New Silk Road depends on Moscow's goodwill. But does Putin's Russia even want it?
I'm skeptical about the relationship between China and Russia. Russia is facing a laborious rethinking process. Russia used to be China's big brother. Today, it struggles to accept that China is superior. Of course, China and Russia are cooperating on military terrain for geopolitical reasons. But the New Silk Road has political support in Russia because Russia has its own Eurasian project.
For Putin, as for Stalin before him, military strength is the primary factor. But that's just not enough in today's world. You need an efficient economy, technology, science. Putin's Russia has none of that. Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are already turning towards China while trying to maintain a balance. But Russia's all talk. China has the money. All Russia has is memories of a glorious past.
People like to come to the bridge of Orenburg to enjoy the sunset, looking west towards Europe. But many confess that they're looking the other way more and more often.
At this moment, I'm sure that Asia will be our future because China and other Asian countries are greatly developing, and they are influencing our life, our culture. Well, that's why Asia is our future.
Maybe the New Silk Road will cross the Ural River tomorrow, and in the end, a modern highway will connect China to Europe, as the railway already does. It'll be a Europe that's currently coping with many crises and that doesn't seem to have yet grasped the extent of Xi Jinping's project. How can Europe counter the power structures China is building along its New Silk Road? How will Europe respond to this new soft imperialism based on economic growth, an imperialism that's redrawing the map between Europe and Asia.
And then what Europe gonna say? Well, I'll get America on you. And then China be like, shit, we own America. They broke too. Motherfuckers broke too. We own everything, bitch. Some Chinese dude gonna buy out the Walton family. He gonna own Walmart. And then Walmart is gonna be a Chinese company.
This is a market we're going to. Walking in, I really highly suggest you just hold the camera down by your side like it's off. They're very strict about no camera policy. It's so busy. A lot of the parts are remanufactured, recycled. Some are new, some are fake. Replacement batteries and screens for Samsung tablets, backings for Samsung tablets. And then you see back over there, see those big chests of safes over there? All cash. If you want to buy cases for your iPhone to sell like new, you can buy empty boxes. These are just empty boxes they're selling. So this woman is selling iPhone 5Cs, so they're not new but authentic. They're used and recycled. Another guy here swapping out parts casually. All the tools you need to repair phones, like the vacuum chambers, the wire cutters to remove the screens, jigs to like hold everything in place and align up the screens, the incessant cracking of packing tape. It's a sign of a deal close. And then you pop out here in a suburbia. Welcome to the suburbs.
Oh my gosh, I love Shenzhen. You can't talk bad about Shenzhen.
Shenzhen started from a fishing village. From 300,000 to 10 million.
14 million. 20 million.
No cities in the history of human civilization as we know was able to do this.
深圳为什么成功？就是要拓荒，就是要突破这种盘根错节的束缚，进行改革开放。
Shenzhen is creating more millionaires than any other cities in China.
I mean, they can do everything. It's a factory of the world. People don't understand this.
It could be Europe, US, anywhere else. You're about 9 months behind us when it comes to technology, and that's just a fact.
The model that is being developed in Shenzhen can actually be quite threatening for models that have already been established and very successful in other parts of the world.
I do think that the core tenets of sharing IP that they have is extremely enabling.
It's a cultural change. It will take a while, but the future is possible.
It's not that Silicon Valley got divorced from technology. They're very much about technology. They just kept moving up the stack. And the key thing that drove that, in my opinion, was Moore's Law. Moore's Law is named after Gordon Moore, who was one of the founders of Intel. In like 1960s, he came out with a paper. He predicted that every 2 years, I believe it was, the number of components you could fit in the same piece of silicon would double. And so in 1 year, you could fit 10 transistors in here. 2 years later, it would be like 20, then 40. A decade on, you're talking about like millions and then billions. Imagine you have a printer and you're printing pages and you want to be more efficient. Well, you go from a 12-point font to a 6-point font, fitting twice as many characters in one page, and you're getting twice as much information out of your printer all in one go. And that's literally all Moore's Law has been, is reducing the font size of circuits. In the 70s and 80s, there were many failed research attempts to build parallel computers, right? Computers that were like, you know, the Cray machines and the thinking machines, 60,000 processors, and scale up. And what you found was that if you spent more than 2 years of research time to try and double the performance of your computer, it was by far cheaper just to sit back and wait and let guys like Intel just move Moore's Law ahead and buy the next fastest processor. And so what you found was that actually being in hardware wasn't profitable. And so what really sold products back in the day was features.
Well, one of the things you can do with Windows 98 is similar to the web. You can navigate on your hard drive using the backwards and forwards buttons just like you would on the web.
The first generation of Windows that would come out and a new generation would be so slow, it'd be completely unusable. And then 2 years later, like, oh, it's actually kind of okay. And then 4 years later, it's like zipping along. It's not because Microsoft made it faster. The computers got faster for free. And so people are able to now not have to worry about writing detailed stuff in C code. They could use high-level languages. They're able to use like web pages, and then JavaScript comes along. And with all of that sort of fervor going on and people chasing that innovation, there was no value in soldering parts. There really wasn't.
In 1983, worldwide sales of personal computers increased 76%. But last year, the increase was only 19%. And this year, analysts predict that sales growth will slow to about 4%. Losses among the two largest home computer makers through June of this year surpassed $600 million.
And that building of stuff had to go to an economy where people were paid a lot less. And what you see is now that Silicon Valley, the whole tech ecosystem, is sort of like driven as far as the road goes, and now Moore's Law sort of is ending or ended, and the car's still kind of gliding off the cliff, right? But there's no more road underneath it. and they're like, huh, like computers just aren't getting that much faster anymore. And so now you're seeing people going through a phase of optimization, which is great. But at the same time, people are like, okay, well, how do we differentiate my product, right? Like, optimization sucks. It's not a great business model. Because now we have supercomputers in our pocket. Now the question is, what do we do with it, right? And what does that thing in my pocket not already do? And so people are realizing there's niche markets for hardware. We need to have a small accessory. We're going to have like my Fitbit, all these little things, my little digital locks, my smart homes, my sensor networks, the IoT sort of stuff coming up. And they say, great, we need to figure out how to build this. And now they're coming back to this ecosystem and being like, oh, you guys know how to solder. We forgot about that. That's really good. Can you help us build these things?
What should we say?
When I was 18, the first time I go to the US, I use a trash can and like a wood vacuum cleaner, build the very first ping pong robot.
We want a robot that's just like you, but slightly better, so you always feel challenged.
I dropped out from university after first year of college, decided to go for this path. And it's really nice to be in HAX because HAX is the best educator and help you grow.
HAX is a hardware accelerator, the world's first hardware accelerator. We take teams that come in with a proven technology and a prototype and help them to get ready for market launch. We provide $100,000 US. We help them with electrical engineering, design for manufacture, industrial design, mechanical engineering, their market strategy, how they're going to launch, and for that we take 9% equity in the startups.
I'm Thomas, co-founder of Rovenso, and at Rovenso we make big robots. We use a kind of spatial joystick. It's usually used in surgery, these things. It's a force feedback joystick. The market that we target is the one of nuclear decommissioning. And what you can see here is a small version of a robot. And now at HAX we are building the very big version. So you can compare the wheel size, that will be something quite huge. The bigger version of the robot will transport a robotic arm to automate some of the part of the decommissioning work.
Shenzhen's, as everybody now knows, the hardware capital of the world, right? So this has been our home ever since the start. The reason we come here and take the teams here is because of the ecosystem around, which helps them to build products really fast, and from initial concept all the way up to final product release into the market.
Neura is a headphone company. We're making the world's first tunable headphones. They work out how you hear and provide the perfect music for you. So I can show you here the hearing profiles of my colleague Luke and my hearing profile. What you can see is that there is this difference at certain frequencies between the way that Luke is sensitive to that particular note or sound, the way that I'm sensitive to it. What our headphones do is sonically mould the sound and make sure that what we hear is not too bassy, it's not too trebly, it sounds balanced, it sounds even, and it sounds the way that it was recorded.
Anybody who's going through research and development, they're better off doing it here because they can get things made so much quicker and so much cheaper. I mean, you try doing something like that in the UK, it'll take you around a month, typically, to make something which is specialist from an engineering firm. Here you can do it in a couple of days.
Let's say we completely design a new robot, we can get it out pretty much in a week. Even if there's 10 parts, we can send it out or we can do it ourselves. So you get 10 3D printers to print at the same time, and you get all the parts, put it together, and just fire. I never seen any prototyping like that when we were in States.
For some of the standard parts, we can order in the morning, and then we get it in the afternoon or the day after. We can get manufactured parts in a few days. In Switzerland, we were planning to do this robot in 9 months. And here we have the opportunity to make it in 3 months. So it's really a race.
If you look back through the years, like obviously Shenzhen became a manufacturing hub very, very quickly. And not that long ago was literally rice paddies.
Academic-wise and in popular media, it's usually summarized in one sentence, which is that Shenzhen was a small sleeping fishing village, and then because it was designated as a special economic zone, it became a metropolis overnight. That singular sentence is what I'm trying to demystify through my work. Today, exactly how many people live in Shenzhen is a mystery. The number 10 million is used more as a reference. So from 300,000 to 10 million, this population grows. No cities in the history of human civilization as we know that was able to do this. Prior to 1980s, China was in a very poor economic state. There was a stagnation of industry. There was a planned economy. No one was allowed to own business. It was a very poor country. The leaders in Beijing have been thinking about what can they do to try to lead the country out of poverty.
当时的这个整个的大陆这边的经济受这种极左思想的束缚。 整个经济陷入这种困顿状态。这张图呢，就是反映了当时77年的时候，深圳这个地区和香港这边的这个居民收入的一个对比差了很多，有10倍的差距。这个人民生活越来越差。这个呢，就是很有名的这一句话，就是邓小平在谈来调研的时候说呢，这是政策有问题，不是部队能管得了的，所以我们要调整这个政策。 才实行了改革开放。
They set up the 4 special economic zones, each of them next to a already developed economy. The ambition was simply what can the country do to generate jobs, to generate economy, to feed the people. Essentially, it was a very actually modest intention. Under the planned economy, there was a social safety net. Every person was rationed with food coupons, clothing coupons, electricity coupons. It was only in Shenzhen you can buy a piece of bread with money. To be willing to come to Shenzhen, to the special economic zone, to try to create something else, it attracted people who wanted to have more freedom.
这张照片呢是当时的一个工厂华强那个南洋电子厂。这张照片好，就是当时的工人正好要去上班这个就是当时人民生活面貌的一个反应因为深圳人民对邓小平的感情很深没有小平就没有深圳。当时92年，小平又一次来深圳市场所住的那个宾馆的房间的情况。这一台是深圳的第一台 ATM 机。 你把它钱塞进去，马上会出来一个金额你把那个钱整理好之后呢，写一张条，多少钱，塞到这个窗口里面去，后台人员给你处理。它并不是说像现在，当时赋予的它的使命呢，就是技术、知识、对外政策的窗口我们要引进国外的先进的知识和理念 所以就是说，在深圳这边先试验成功了，再向这个全国来推广。这是小平说的“摸着石头过河”，啊，这个石头就是深圳。
What to me what's remarkable about Shenzhen is that even the planners themselves would tell you that the city evolved in a way much bigger and faster than they would have predicted. I think it's overly generalized to think that Shenzhen was nothing and then with this set up special economic zone suddenly it became a city. It didn't. There is something else that's not answered simply by top-down planning.
Thank you all for joining me in a discussion about innovation that is happening right here in China. We're investing with you, the developer community. We have been investing in open source solutions because we know that when there are standards and when there are open source offerings, that the pace of technology innovation and the pace of technology adoption accelerates.
I think for the past 100 years, the Industrial Revolution put us into smaller cages. Consumerism has killed a lot of creativity. But for the post-industrial generation, they should have more freedom to create, to explore, to invent. I think through Maker Movement, we are bringing it back.
So we're here with the MakerBot Cupcake CNC, which is a 3D printer. You can build things like Tom York's head, because he actually open sourced the data that was filmed for a video of his. Now what's also interesting about this whole scenario is that there's a whole thriving community of users who are taking these to build all kinds of different objects. They're sharing the objects online, and additionally they're sharing information on how to build and improve upon the design. Everything is completely open sourced. The software is open sourced. The hardware is open source, and I just can't wait to see what people come up with.
I think the recent emergence of the maker movement pretty much started around 2003, 2004 in the US. Laser cutting and 3D printing is helping people to be able to build stuff and actually build it for fun rather than just having business purpose.
Right around that time, this guy named Dale Doherty, he was thinking about starting a publication called Make. Before Make came out, the only word we had was a hacker, right? And I think he didn't want to call the magazine Hack because it had a really negative connotation at the time. And Make was sort of the thing you would type to compile a program, so it would resonate well with programmers. And Maker was like sort of the demonym of people who would read the magazine. That sort of coined the term maker. And I think in creating that publication, he sort of solidified the movement, and the Maker Faire created that phenomenon.
In China, in the beginning, nobody knows about makers. Nobody cared about makers, but because we go to the maker fairs in New York, in Bay Area, we're so jealous. So instead of waiting for someone to do it, we say, why don't we do it?
When they told me they were doing the first Maker Faire here, I was like, how do you have a Maker Faire in an area where people don't make for a recreational thing, they do it for a job, right? You know, because making in the West is something that you're using to remind people who are in service economies that there's a thing called manufacturing, right? When you have a manufacturing economy, you want to remind them there's manufacturing that seems weird. And what I realized is that actually China's middle class is the size of the entire United States population. So even if a small section of Chinese people had risen to the upper middle class, it's big enough to create a movement in China itself compared to the United States scale of making.
We don't know if it's going to be successful or not. The first year we have over 60 makers, and last year we have over 200 makers. It's a huge number.
Some interesting phenomena also emerging out of this in the past years. What's happening is the open source hardware movement. Traditionally, the circuit board is closed and proprietary. You need to have a contract, a non-disclosure, and a huge sum of prepayment in order to get access. But with open source hardware, everybody can access to that information. and everybody can modify that to suit their need. People here, they create a circuit board, and just under an expectation, it is going to be open. It's going to be copied and evolved by someone else. There's no one running around in Shenzhen and say, okay, well, I should be credited for creating this. If someone else can make this, get someone else to use it, merrier the better. Not having the ego attached to creations and understand how actually open source system works. The maker movement is at that junctures.
I'm getting a little sick of hearing about the same people on TV over and over and over again, so I decided to do something about it. This Arduino project, which I called the Enough Already, will mute the TV anytime any of these overexposed personalities is mentioned. To mute the TV, I'm going to use an IR LED. Now, anytime a keyword is mentioned, the TV will mute for 30 seconds. Our producers caught up with Kim Kardashian earlier today. It should do a pretty good job of protecting our ears from having to hear about the details of Kim Kardashian's wedding.
Arduino is becoming the trigger point because it has too many millions of makers using that.
This is a prototype we tried to make, a robot arm for the people who have Parkinson's diseases.
We will make a spoon like this, and if you just shift here, and it's stable. If we come to Shenzhen like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it will be very difficult for a maker to tap into the resources. But now you have so many resources. It's in the middle of a reforming. So the big company, especially the silicon providers like Intel, like Atmel, like TI, they look at that, oh, we have new customers. We have new possibility for new future applications of our technologies. So they make their own controller board, like Edison, like Curie. So they want to tap into the early stage of the development of the applications.
This board is based on the Intel technology. It's a tiny dual-core computer system. It has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and it runs a Linux operating system on it.
I think part of the reason Intel is having to sort of turn that way, they know their roadmap as well as anyone else does. They kind of define Moore's law, and they saw the bridge go out from underneath them before anyone else did. They managed to drive technology like this, and then the other foundries like TSMC and UMC have always trailed behind, but now they're slowing down, everyone's catching up. They're like, oh God, we're looking for air and trying to find a place to move, and so they've struggled to keep up with the phenomenon they created. They haven't made headway into mobile, and those are the most ubiquitous computers today. They're missing out on a huge market opportunity. And so to the extent that they're trying to figure out how to adapt their innovation model to something more flexible, and so they really want to make sure the Intel brand is in front of the youth to make sure that they remember that Intel is actually like a thing that they want to design with later on, and not just, you know, something out of reach.
We have tried to introduce it to 9 years old. I think it's a little bit difficult, but it's acceptable. You do not need to write any boring code. In a smart node, you can just drag and drop and link them together.
What they're doing is they're learning how to code on a computer, translate that into hardware, and they'll build a project on our laser cutter or a 3D printer for something to accept a stimulus, light, motion, or sound, and then output some result. Last year, one kid built a key reminder for his mom so that when she left the house, a motion sensor would pick up her movement and say, hey, don't forget the key. And it's kind of funny to hear that a 8-year-old will know whether he wants to be doing mechanical circuits or just a purely software experience.
So that's entry level, and then we give them more systematic introduction to how to build up the skills. Off you go, you can use the makerspace to create whatever you want. You are genius, you are young inventors.
I've seen some great examples of open source hardware being used to actually make a difference and create a better world. The difficulty is monetizing that, because I do believe that business solves a lot of the world's problems, and people need to be able to make money. If you're providing value to the world, which is making the world a better place, then there should be compensation for that.
In 2010, I started the first makerspace in China called Xinzhejian. I got invited a lot to give a talk about open source hardware. The first question always comes up on people's mind is, well, how do you protect your intellectual property, and how can you make money if you don't protect your intellectual property? I got that question in Shanghai, I got that question in Beijing, I got that question everywhere I go. But when I give the same talk in Shenzhen, the reaction I got is, so what's new about this? We've been making money on this for 20 years.
这个地方是全球最大的元器件的集散地，这里总共1楼、2楼现在有800多家，将近900家的，全是做 IC 的。
The reason we're here in Huachuang Bay is literally because of the electronics markets. You know, it's a fantastic resource of all different possible components and different devices which can kind of be Frankenstein together to make prototypes by the teams. It's a source of inspiration. It's a source of discovery of new products that could potentially be taken to the West. And like I see every month a different invention down there. 9 times out of 10 they're probably not going to make it to the West, but some of them do.
这一个是很能代表华强北的创新模式的，就是你既可以用来给手机充电，又可以用来暖手。这一款产品呢是刚好是我们学校的一个人发明的，它就是这个东西要装在羽毛球托下面，就是你打球的时候，它会给你记录数据，你的力度，还有你的今天挥了多少次拍。
You can get a little bit of feel here, what's even upstream of what's going to hit the tack in the United States. You see a couple of things popping up here or there, a little shop will pop out of nowhere selling these things you hadn't heard of before, like the hoverboards were here a couple of years before they hit the United States, and then you eventually sort of see them hit the States and other countries.
这里就是最具华强北特色的地方，这里都是一个一个的小创业者，但是他们做的东西全是全球最新的，而且出货量很大的东西。这个是一个3D 眼镜，3D 手机壳，拿过来之后，这里就是 3D 效果的电影。
There's a number of different ways to sort of look at the market. For an engineer, you're sort of limited at thumbing through catalogs and looking at pictures and very slowly going through specification sheets. For example, if you want to put a switch in a product, you want to know how it feels. You want to kind of know the exact size and the little mountings and the fussy bits. And it can take a long time to find exactly the right part. You come here and they're like stalls with like hundreds of different types, and you can just reach in and just touch them and play with them, and you can like walk stall by stall and see all the different variety. And it's not just a showroom. Once you find the switch you like, you can be like, hi, I'd like to buy 1,000 of them, and then for a very low price, you can just over the counter buy it, carry it off, and go into production.
You can fix your phone here. 告诉他们这个是我们的朋友，靠得住的。给个10架就行了。
也是拿手机电嘛，拆解，时间久了就，也不是这个地方嘛，这个已经好多年了。
It's got a huge amount of acquired knowledge and skills. There's electrical engineers there who will solder up 50 PCBs for you. In record time. You can go down there and piece together different components to make a new mobile phone. There's nowhere else in the world you can do that. You can get like a chipset that was in a notebook, for example, for less than $15, which can enable computing power inside a new product. That's a fantastic resource for some of the startups. That kind of philosophy is kind of spread out all around China.
他们在里面的，他们都是一个像新手机都是一个圈子，他们相互之间都会认识。可能他某一个人他只会做一个部分的功能，另外一个部分的功能呢，他会交给他的另外一个朋友去做，所以他很快就可以把这个东西做好。在华强北呢，有的人他就会设计，有的人呢他就会把这个产品生产出来，有的人呢他会卖，所以他们之间全是合作的关系。所以呢，在这里呢，它生产研发一款产品推向市场时间特别的短，只需要2-3个月的时间。但是这在国际上，传统的行业里面，它需要1年的时间，但在华强北只需要3个月。
去它的这里有套，这里有套一个这里面嘛，所以我要现在的话用一个真空机把它。
基本他们还是属于老一代的创业者，他们老一代创业者就是学徒制，就有些人先在这里闯荡，然后他就会带徒弟，徒弟学会了之后就会另外的开档口，开这么一个小店，所以呢，他们的技术就是跟着师傅学出来的模式。
When we're starting to look at the maker coming to Shenzhen, there's this excitement on how open the system is. Like nowhere else. You can buy all sorts of stuff. Everything is available in volume. But in the West, there's a binary distinction between the makers and the hardware startup. The maker, you do this for fun, you do this for your passions. But when you're starting to make this into a business, you should forget about sharing, you should forget about all this open stuff and focusing on the business. But in here, there's very little differentiations between I want to make this for fun and I want to make this for profit. There's no binary division of the mindset of makers versus startup. Maker and startup in China is a continuum. You shouldn't be stopped from making money out of the thing you love to do. And you should not be forced to choose between open and proprietary just because you want to become a business. Right now it's just in the West, we haven't seen open source hardware system working.
这个是苹果的 logo， 是这里自己做的，但是做的和真的是一模一样的。然后呢，后面的文字，这些文字旁边也可以做的完全一模一样。对，其实更恐怖的是 iPhone 还没有在大陆出现，这里已经有了一笔完全的高仿了，是一模一样的。但是其实它的质量也不差，就是它一模一样的。